over to Nikki.
Right, hi guys, welcome everybody. Basically, we want to bring our ideas forward for you to get involved, because this is all about the community. It's about everybody having somewhere and something to do. Part of Coalville CAN is we're going to try and get a building in the area so that it could be for community use, whether that be clubs or knit and natters or dementia cafe or youth clubs, or it goes from the spectrum from young to old, and it's for everybody. We'll share a little bit later about the community share, so everybody can be involved. By that, you have a board and you vote the board in. You get to vote them in, and you get one vote for one share. So it's available to everybody. We want to bring our community together. We've got an amazing community. We've got so many things that we could do. We've got so many things that are already going on that people probably don't know about. It's for you. It's not for anybody else, nobody else's benefit, but the community. And that's all of you. No matter what background you're from, no matter what job you do, it's for everybody. So this will give you a bit of an insight into how we could achieve that. It's not going to be easy. It's achievable, most definitely achievable. And it's all about how much you lot want to get involved. I'm on the board at the moment, but somebody could vote me off next year. It's how it is, because that's up to you. You run this. This is for you. So we're going to run this presentation for you, give you a few pointers along the way. If anybody wants to jump in and ask a question, feel free to do so, because we've got the key guys here, which is Ian and Dina. And if you've not met them before, you'll be Deena'd very soon. And that is in the nicest possible way. These guys have got so much energy about it, and it brings the energy out in all of us. Me, I'm so excited about it all. I don't understand it all, so don't think I understand all this either, but these guys do. So we'll have a presentation. Any questions at the end, feel free to jump in, and most of all, enjoy it and see what you think.
Thanks, Nikki. So I'm going to share my screen, and I think Ian's going to start off, so I will hand over to Ian. I'll just get this presentation up on the screen. Hang on 1 minute. Slideshow. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so evening everyone, this is Ian, and tonight we're going to try and share a little bit about who we are and what we're trying to achieve. Hopefully there'll be a seamless switching of slides now. So Coalville CAN, Coalville Communities and Neighbours. You can see on the graph there one of the designs that we've used. This is what we're about: supporting and building capacity, assets and networks. So our value proposition was an attempt to summarise what we're doing. There's 4 key themes: buildings, connecting, well-being and learning. And you'll be able to read a little bit more there, and we'll come back to that in a little bit more detail later. So under our themes, learning is a variety of training, skills and enterprise support to unlock the potential of local people, and we'll touch on the Kickstart scheme in a bit more detail. Regeneration and reclaiming buildings, and we'll talk about the 3 buildings that we're looking at taking over at the moment. And then physical and mental health and well-being, and importantly for us, it links everything else together, connecting and helping people come together to make a bigger difference in their communities. So our models, what's behind? At the heart of what we do is the view that the real wealth in the community is the people, their involvement and their skills. And our approach is that we want to develop the skills of people as citizens, and underpinned by something called asset-based community development. Let's start with what's strong, not what's wrong. As members of cooperative, the cooperative values and principles are very important to us, and there's a few of them in the background there, including taking responsibility, working with others, and operating in a democratic way. People don't want or need labels except for grant bids, so apologies to anyone running a grant bid, but the cartoon hopefully, or the image, sums up what we're about. We want people to be mixing with everyone in the community, not mixing based on their labels. And an attempt to summarise our approach is there's 3 elements: people, place and potential. And what links people and their potential is building on their strengths. People in place is another word for community, and the potential of places lie in their assets. And when they all come together, we think that makes a great place to live. So we're working alongside others. This has been a long-term partnership with Think FC. Think FC was the catalyst for Coalville CAN, collaborator on the Kickstart programme, and in Coalville CAN we use a lot of the tools and resources that Think FC developed. We're also part of the Be More Pirate movement, and if you've read the book How to Be More Pirate, we have a few pages in there that was about our aspiration, and tonight you'll see how our hopes are becoming real. We also really like the Camarados principles, so just quickly to run through those. It's okay to fail, and we're all a bit rubbish sometimes. We like to work alongside people and not try to fix them. We mix with people who don't look like us and celebrate our differences. Try and have fun, try and disagree respectfully, and if someone is struggling, we ask them to help us. It gives them a purpose. We try to take these to heart. And we're part of the We're Right Here campaign, which is a national campaign for more community ownership. And you can see 2 of the Kickstarters and Dina in the photo of the people who are at the launch. So our assumptions. In all our projects, we're trying to work towards being zero carbon and promote biodiversity. We want a high level of participation by both our members and the wider community. We want to be inclusive of everyone. Where possible, we aspire to good design, and it's all about the storytelling. We want to tell the stories of the great things people are doing. We're also looking at how we can apply the donut to Coalville and area. So the donut is an approach that says we need to live within the boundaries of the planet, but meet the needs of all the people. And we're exploring 2 projects under the heading. One is a community orchard, and the other is bringing electric cargo bikes to Coalville and area. We're also keen to use a platform for local democracy to give everyone a chance to be involved, and this short video will give you a little bit of an introduction, but we hope to launch the pilot of this in the next 2 months. And hopefully it will play seamlessly.
Vocalize, an innovative platform for community organising. Here's how. Create a group, start topics of conversation, promote to your community. Encourage them to suggest, rate and debate ideas. This creates clear priorities. Organise regular meetings. Set agendas from your priorities. Form working groups. Crowdsource projects. Share the best projects so they can be discovered, adapted and replicated anywhere. Tap into the wisdom of your communities. Turn great ideas into action.
There's a lot more to come about Vocalize, but as suggested there, all of our projects will go on to a website people can look and comment on and have their say. So who are Coalville CAN? Current crew, you've met myself and Dina. Harry's with us as the fundraiser and the Coalville CAN secretary. Victoria does design and the web. Jackie is a young person support. Tom's a mentor and a digital volunteer. Georgina and Benicia are 2 people on the Kickstart scheme looking at the environment and marketing. Tommy's just joined as an employee, community participation champion, part funded by the lottery. Tommy's real magic is in the street art, and Ben importantly makes sure we all get paid. A little bit of context, and I think this is over to Dina.
I like this bit, yeah. So Coalville, for those of you who don't know, Coalville did start its life as 4 parishes, Swanington, Whitwick, Snibston and Huddlescote, that all met at the clock tower. If you don't know Coalville, there's a clock tower right in the centre of town, and that's where these parishes met. And it wasn't until about 1832 when, and I'm watching Clark on the screen now, Clark knows much more about this than me. This is just a very quick summary, Clark. So yeah, with William Stenson, who found the coal, and from 1832 onwards it became known as Coalville, and Coalville kind of grew and pinched bits of these other parishes, which does lead to some interesting conversations. When people in Whitwick say, I'm not going to Coalville Market, I'm from Whitwick. So there's a feeling that Coalville might have pinched bits of other areas, but Coalville, the town, grew because of all this industry, starting with coal, and it's the town that you see today, which currently hasn't got a town council, and that's part of the history of what I've just shared there, that the Swanington, Whitwick, Huddlescote and Snibston parishes all have their own parish councils, and because Coalville developed in that way, it didn't get a town council, so it's currently sort of managed by a special expenses team of councillors on the district council. As Coalville CAN, we decided when we first set it up that it wasn't just about Coalville, it was Coalville in the wider area. So just as a term, we use LE67 as the broad brush of the area that we're potentially talking about, but the focus initially is in Coalville Centre and the surrounding parishes. Some of you may know that Action Man was born in Coalville, so we're wanting to work with the history and the heritage of the place, not just the coal, but all the other industries that came since and all the community that came because of sort of the industry that was around there, and we want to sort of work with that and grow it. Obviously now Coalville is in the centre of the National Forest, so there's lots more opportunities to keep working on this. Let somebody else in. Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once. So if you want to know more about the history of Coalville, there you can speak to Clark in the breakout room in a minute, or you can watch on YouTube Coalville CAN video, which is Stuart Warburton did a brilliant presentation to our first team of Kickstarters, and there's about a 54-minute full history of Coalville. I think it's had over 1,000 views now, so it's really good, and a lot of the young people said that they'd not heard of any of the things that were shared, and they found it really interesting and wished that they'd learnt more of that at school. So perhaps there's some things that we can do there with the local schools. So our journey so far with Coalville CAN, we started as an association. There was a group of about 10 of us that got together and thought this was a great idea, and that gradually developed over 2019-20, and then in 2021, start of the year, we actually created the CBS itself, Coalville CAN CBS, and it started with 6 founder members, with myself and Victoria sort of with our Think FC hats on as well, helping to catalyse the start of it. So what we've done over the last few years is connected with lots of people. Obviously there was a huge number of months where it was in the middle of lockdown, so lots of it was online, but lots of chance to meet in person as well in different guises and places. And over these last few months we've been doing lots of different events. So you might have seen some of these. There was a cardboard event which was getting young people at the different schools to come up with ideas for some of the different spaces, including building sculptures for the National Forest. That was working with Century Theatre. It's working with the council, using some of the space at the Hermitage Leisure Centre Lakeside site to create physical fun in the sun activities, which happened over last summer. We did an exhibition of the return of the famous 50 and then gave them back to all their makers in the town centre, working with the Royal British Legion. We invited all the teachers to come along to an experience at Hermitage Leisure Centre with lots of people from local groups involved. We've actually brought parkour to Coalville. This took a number of months, but there's now parkour happening every Wednesday. So it's Coventry, Coalville and Leicester where you can now do parkour lessons, and this has now led to lots of schools wanting to have parkour classes in their schools. We did a History of Coalville event which happened at the new HQ that we've got, and the Gallery of Grot was another activity that we did over the summer, working in collaboration with the litter pickers and with St Joseph's Tea Rooms and Century Theatre, basically people presenting their rubbish in the form of art in an exhibition, and we did things like go-karting and other things at the time. Games and multi-sports, so 6 of our young people on Kickstart all got trained up to be multi-sports coaches, and they are now offering multi-sport sessions at Marlene Reed, Hermitage and Aigernock 3 times a week. And hot off the press is the new street art workshops, which Ian mentioned with Tommy. So every Thursday evening you can come and do these things. And these are just some of the things that Coalville CAN have been doing locally. Just to summarise where we are with the overall structure, the idea is Coalville CAN CBS is an ethical landlord. And as an ethical landlord, it will own spaces and places. Those spaces and places will make a profit, and those profits will be shared back amongst the people. So we've called it people's profits. Coalville CAN CBS will also offer services to try and unlock some of these assets, make things easier, things like finance, insurance, leases, partnerships, things like that. So that's sort of Coalville CAN CBS. Underneath there you can see there's lots of things that we are hoping to do. So just whizzing through them, and we'll go into a little bit more detail. We've got Coalville Town Centre, and in the town centre there's the old co-op on Beaver Road and the World Habitat building on Memorial Square, which we've called CAN HQ. So these two, hopefully during the next year, will come into the ownership of Coalville CAN, and we'll share more about that in a minute. We've got Georgina, who's I think just joined the call, working on Eco Hub and Eco Transport solutions. Then Route 52, if you look there are 3 potential opportunities on Route 52 for taking over spaces. One is the old Market Hall. That's currently on hold for 4 years. The council have decided that's going to be used for storage for 4 years, and then who knows what will happen to it after that, but hopefully it will be available for us to speak to them about at that point. We've put in a bid for the Leisure Centre, calling it R52, a little bit more about that later. And with the railway line, Ivanhoe railway line, likely to happen in the next few years, it's as close as it's ever been. A community-owned railway station we've added in there. And then community projects are basically people doing their own projects and helping to provide spaces and places for those to happen. So that's a bit of a summary, and we'll just go through a few of those more in detail so you can see some pictures. So if you don't know the building, that's CAN HQ. It's owned by World Habitat. They want to sell it to us basically, and over the next year we can work out how that's going to happen. Currently we've got the ground floor, which is going to be a community connecting space with places like the workshop space, which Tom is currently using for the street art workshops, but there's also going to be photography, IT, heritage, recycling, and a made in Coalville space. A space for people to come together and celebrate Coalville. The top floor we're currently using as a space for office, and the middle floor is currently rented out. So that's CAN HQ. R52 is the name that we've put forward for Hermitage Leisure Centre. For those of you who don't know, there's a new leisure centre being built, £23 million, brilliantly new, exciting leisure centre that's just about complete. It'll be open in the next month or so, which means this one will be empty. We know it'll cost a lot to keep it empty. Our estimate is at least £60,000 to sort of board it all up and put the CCTV and things in place, and probably £100,000 on business rates. So if we can work together with the council, we can save some of those things and start to use it for some of the things that we've already got planned. So this is a plan that Dan, who's on the call, has put together. An indoor skate park using the pool space, And we've got somebody from Coalville who's built skate parks before that wants to get involved and help build that. A national parkour centre, and again we've started the parkour and we have a partner that wants to build the national parkour centre in there. And in the centre, a community hub. This is basically opening up the current cafe space that already exists and providing at least half the hall so that the community have got a big space that they can use for hiring out, which can work alongside the parkour. The squash courts, which are over on the right hand side, our ideas for those is they become accommodation space, so affordable space for people to live who might work on site, and a learning and creative space. So these are the ideas that we've put forward for a long-term purchase. Oh, just up there as well, there's a gaming and digital space that's in the current gym. So all of these activities complement the new leisure centre. And so we think it could work very nicely hand in hand. And we know that there's funds out there that we can raise to do these activities. And in the meantime, we've asked for a meanwhile use to use the spaces that will be available when it's shut, including the hall and the cafe area. The co-op, that's a picture of the co-op on Beaver Road. It's currently owned by Central England Co-op, and we have a grant to do a feasibility study on it from the Architectural Heritage Fund, and during this year we hope that'll come to fruition and we'll be able to purchase it outright, and we're currently in talks with them over that. Kickstart has been a big project over the last year and a half. 58 young people from Coalville area have been employed doing various activities for 6 months. Some of them have had placements in with local partners in the community. Some have been working on Think FC projects, some have been working on Coalville CAN projects, and we've just been allocated 12 more jobs. So, and there's a number of Kickstarters on this call, which some of you will get to meet when we do the breakout rooms later. And Kickstart is a government scheme which is for 18 to 24-year-olds who are unemployed and on universal credit, and it gives them 6 months of paid work to sort of find out what they're interested in and get started on their working lives. Creativity is a big part of what we do, and as Ian mentioned earlier, we've just employed Tommy as part of our team, and Tommy's offering workshops in photography, filmmaking and the street art. And if you come and visit Coalville CAN HQ, you will see the middle space. It looks fantastic, and just seeing the kids there doing their street art session on Thursday evening is pretty good. That picture, by the way, is about 6 meters long. Activities, this is just an image of the parkour that's happening. So we're hoping to continue some of the multi-sports, continue working alongside the parkour, and obviously depending on what happens with the leisure centre, there'll be chances for all sorts of different activities to happen over the next few months and years. Staying connected, so if you want to keep in touch, there's different ways you can do that. Every third Sunday of the month we do the Coalville Mega Walk. So yesterday there was nearly 30 people that all did the Mega Walk in the rain with their friendly dogs, which was very good. Every Monday evening at 7 o'clock we have this Zoom room open, and the idea is we can create breakout rooms for people to go and chat about their own projects in. So this is an unusual one because we've got a bit of a presentation going on, but there is the opportunity for people to come together and then go off and speak about different projects, and we can host that platform for anybody that wants to do that every Monday. And then there's also a network meeting for community organisations which happen at the second Wednesday of the month at Marlene Reid Centre. We put this slide in because Filigi is a charity that we set up a little while ago, and it's just been sitting there waiting for the young people of Coalville to rise and start to use it. And that's hopefully what we're going to be helping to facilitate during this year, a completely young person led charity, doing things that the young people want. That's it really. Okay, governance. Shall I do this bit? I learned about community benefit societies on a presentation by Ian about 2 years ago, and I'd never heard of them before, so I'm not sure how many people in the room have heard of them, but they seem to me like the ultimate in democracy, community control and ownership, and I'll let Ian, as he's the expert on them, talk through this slide. But there are some very good reasons why we chose this as the vehicle. Over to you, Ian.
Thank you. I just sat back then. So community benefit society is a type of cooperative. So importantly, it's independent but has shared values and principles. In a CBS, membership is open to everyone, and the slide there says 1 share, 1 vote. However many shares you have, it's 1 vote, irrespective of the amount invested. So everyone who's a member has a vote. For a CBS, the beneficiaries are a defined community, in this case LE67. And the assets are locked so that any assets that the Community Benefit Society receive, and they get locked in forever and a day for the benefit of the community, so they can't be taken advantage of for private gain. CBS is also eligible for grants and in certain circumstances can apply for charitable tax status. Importantly though, they're not charities. They need to be enterprising, sustainable through trading, and it's about self-help. They have a set of rules and they're run by a delegated board. By that we mean the members are the people who own it, and the people who bought a share elect the board, and they then give some of their power decision-making rights to the board who run it on behalf of the members. And community benefit societies can do share offers to the community, and investors can get interest on their investment. So unusually, it's about the only legal structure that can do a share offer without being heavily regulated by the financial authorities. Community Benefit Society's equivalent of the Charities Commission or Companies House is the Financial Conduct Authority. So this is quite a big, scary looking slide, which is around cooperative governance, but it just wants to make the point that the members and the values and principles set the context, and then to be a success we need an effective board, good operations and processes, clarity on what everyone's role is and how they do it, and importantly we need to have a significant number of members who participate in the running of the co-op. We'll go through this slide, but this is our business plan on a page. If you remember, we talked about our 4 themes: connecting, well-being, buildings and learning, and this is how we're going to try and make that become real. So we've broken it down into different categories, and then under each category we've broken it down further into projects, and the names there are only interim. We hope to have more people involved who'll be running different parts of the project. And hopefully this will be an introduction to community shares. And just before we watch it, just to say, our aim is that all of our building projects will do a share offer, because the people who buy shares will be the owners, and they'll then make the decision on how the rents are spent.
Could I just check before I press play that you could hear the sound last time?
Yes.
Yeah, cool, okay.
I could.
Once upon a time, there was a community that didn't want the last pub where they lived to close down. They had great ideas about how it could be much more than a pub, but they needed money to make their dreams come true. The banks didn't think the community could make it work, and the local council didn't have any money to spare. But there was a group of people who did believe in them. Themselves. If they all pulled together, they could pool their money, from the well-off to the not-so-well-off. More than 200 enterprises in the UK have raised finance this way. From football clubs to piers, wind farms and local transport. What links them all is they respond to a need a community wants to see fulfilled. More than 40,000 people have already invested this way, often from as little as £50, but have raised amounts from £20,000 to more than £1.5 million. All this money was raised through people buying shares. But these weren't ordinary shares. They were community shares. Community shares don't work like normal shares. where you might be allowed to sell your shares to someone else. And your investment isn't a donation made in the hope that things will work out. At the heart of a community share issue is a business plan and offer document that shows how the money being raised will enable good things to happen. Your money will be backing something that has a real chance of success as a viable business. And when a community backs an idea by investing, it makes it more likely that other people will too. And the more successful the enterprise is, the more likely it is that people will get their money back. You might even get interest on your shares and a tax break on your investment. Regardless of how much you invest, you all have one vote. That means you and the other investors control the enterprise. And if you think it's being run badly, you can do something about it. Sharing ownership with others means you share the risk and the benefits. We're helping enterprises, supporters and advisors to use community shares. And communities can even run their share offer directly through our Microgenius platform. So if your community believes in something, then investing in community shares can make it happen.
Thank you for that. So we've got some funding from the lottery, which lottery community fund, which allows us to start progressing some of those things. And the focus of the lottery money is on governance, growing the membership, and then finding projects that the community want to do and work alongside people for those projects to become real. So our approach is as simple as possible and as complicated as necessary. And we're keen that as we grow and take on more projects, we don't get tied up in red tape.